Danny Green got some solid minutes in these last two games, finishing on the road at Charlotte with 13 points on 5 of 12 shooting, along with 4 rebounds and a block. How much playing time do you think he'll get in this postseason?
Well, it's a great question. I obviously don't know the way JB will go, because sometimes he plays 7 guys in a game. I don't know what he's going to do this postseason, but if it was me, I would play him 10, 12 minutes a night, depending on the matchups and kind of how the games go. But looking at his stats since coming to the Cavs, he played 8 games with us, or at least he was around for 8 games. Don't know if he actually played all 8. He averaged 12 minutes and 6.5 points on 50% shooting and 44.8% from 3. Yes, Danny. Yes. More of that. So, yeah, you average those stats for me. 12 minutes, 50% shooting, 44% from 3, 6, 7 points a game. That's all I need, man. That's all I envisioned you might give us, except for the occasional 15 or 20 point night because you went off, because you're that kind of guy from the outside, the way we saw Kevin Love do in the last few years of him being a Cavalier. So I think he should see time. And especially if JB, depending on the matchups, as we always say, but especially if JB can get savvy with pulling guys in and out and making sure that, okay, well, right now Lamar doesn't have it, so let Danny try. Obviously, he's still hobbled a little bit. He still has an injury he's dealing with, so whatever considerations have to be met for his injury, obviously that will determine how many minutes they will play him. But I think that he was a great pickup when we got him. It seemed a little suspect that we weren't using him much to end the year, but hopefully it was just to make sure that he was in the right place by the time we actually needed him, which is now. So I don't think he's one of those guys that will, if we don't have him come out there and play well, we're not going to win. But I do think he's one of those guys that if he does come out there and play well, we're going to coast through the first series. Nate Ulrich of the Akron Beacon Journal reports that JB Bickerstaff turned to wise neighbor, 3-time AL Manager of the Year, and Cleveland Guardians skipper Terry Francona for guidance going into the playoffs. Calling the Cavs young and easy to like, Terry is excited to share some ideas with JB. What do you think of this partnership? And what does this say about JB's headspace right now?
First off, I love this partnership. I think that Terry Francona is one of the best, not only managers of baseball, but managers, period. I think that he is a guy who deserves all the accolades that he could ever get. I remember I lived in DC at the time, and I worked with a buddy who was a big Boston fan when Francona got fired, and he was completely incensed because he was just like, you just fired a dude who broke this long curse and didn't do anything wrong. Like, Francona just, the team didn't perform as well, and they were just like, bye. So Francona, I think, is a guy that JB should rely on and use what he says wisely. I think that JB is smart enough and is really comfortable in his own skin to really understand what his team needs. But I love him reaching out to Francona because I think he'll use even the smallest nugget, the smallest detail to really make sure that these young players, these 21-year-olds, these 23-year-olds, use that information to get these young players out the door, out of the gate, to perform much better even than they did in the regular season, because the pressure is so much more immense. They're going to be playing in New York, which is the basketball mecca of the United States, and there's going to be a lot of things going on in their head. I've always been impressed by how JB approaches his coaching and his style and his relationship to his players, and I think that relying on and getting information from Francona will improve that even more. And could really be helpful when you're dealing with so much pressure in the NBA playoffs, especially when you're playing in a town like New York. And any advantage that JB is looking for is even more proof to those out there that he really is trying to do right by the Cavaliers.
Thank you for listening to the Cavaliers Basketball Club podcast. Let's go Cavs!